is Nate Gator. What is up, brother? How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for stopping by, dude. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Nathan Cater with us today. Heidelberg football alum. Uh, I mean, a list of accolades here. I was actually literally just looking up. I was like, this dude's got so many
I
like
never even
literally
looked at them.
awards. Just to name a few here, you got the Wobble, the Ken Wobble. Wait. All right, here we go. So many. 'Cause everyone,
Uh,
buckle in your seatbelts for this guy. All right,
that one's like the only
OAC,
one I got up there.
OAC, Ken Wobble, most outstanding offensive lineman, all OAC first team, um, OhioCollegeFootball.com first team, D3Football.com preseason All-American, D3ProDay.com preseason All-American, and an honorable mention. My former teammate, but more importantly, mentor, coach, also friend. But I'm just super glad to get you on here. Nathan, how's everything been since the good old Heidelberg days? What you up to nowadays, buddy?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm in sell car parts at the moment, so trying to get back into something I love, which is sports, and I love football, and I love the game, and it's kind of why I'm starting what I'm starting here. Um,
Yeah, so
you know,
talk to us. Where? Talk to us first, just a little bit about what you are starting here.
okay, so I've been looking around trying to find something that fits me, and I sit down on Saturdays and Sundays. And it really bothers me because the type of technician I am. You know how I was. I'm very particular in how things need to be done. Well, I can't stand when there's an offensive lineman that can make a block and they miss it with one step and one mishand and one misplacement. It drives me absolutely crazy. Right?
It's all
Right.
those
So
hours of watching film with Bendo. It just drilled it
it
into our
is.
heads.
It is. It is. It is. I got him. I got him right here.
There he is, baby.
Yes. I'm
Um,
a man.
cool. So yeah. So how? So and then yeah. So where are you kind of going with the next steps with this?
Okay, so I'm located in Elyria. I want to do stuff in the Northeast area right now to
Awesome.
start it up. It's more like Illyria, but I want to work with any age range, any age range. Sorry about that. Like any from grade school up to high school, whatever, because it doesn't matter. To have the skills to be successful, I want to be able to give them to you, and I also want to have fun. Like I'm not going to drill you into the ground. We're going to have fun, be lighthearted, and I'm going to throw some positive stuff towards you. That's what it's about. But the biggest thing for me, like, do you remember going to camps growing up?
Yeah.
They're really awkward. You feel uncomfortable, especially when you go by yourself. It's like, man, I don't know if I want to do this until you get out there. You get all them butterflies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Of course, you're going to get those. I don't want that to be a thing. Of course, you're going to have those, but I don't want that to happen. So I want it to be fun, inviting environment. I want to talk to you, get to know you. Um, you know, if kids decide to keep coming back, I would love that. I would love to have multiple kids, multiple years, and then be able to. I would also like to work with like high schools around local high schools. I think that would be great because, going to a season, you get what your spring ball, which is a little bit for high school. You get guys are playing different sports and stuff, so you don't get a full squad.
Right.
And then you get to camp. You get 2-a-days and stuff like that, and you get camp, and that's your skills training.
Yeah, that's your practice, but that's only such a small window.
Right.
Why I love your idea. So there was a guy when I was in high school who used to do this for us, for our high school, John Basil, and we got lucky. He did it for free, but this could totally be a business, and I love this idea. And then there's plenty of personal trainers that I knew in Fort Myers that would take us every single step that we weren't in season. We trained with these guys on Sunday and Wednesday nights, and we'd go to the Pee Wee football field because we had access to all that equipment, and we would work on exactly what you're talking about. It wasn't weightlifting because we got the weights in school. This was what you're talking about, technique. So talk to me, what are like some, so because I know me and you are very similar in that we weren't big meatheads. You know, I know I did strongman after college, but I never bench pressed more than 225. But I did have an advantage on footwork because there were guys that could bench 400 pounds. There was guys that could squat 800 pounds, but I still had this. I was beating them in one-on-ones, and I was being able to push them off the line because of technique. I know for you, same thing. You weren't like a 6'4", 400-pound offensive lineman. I know you're. I don't. Are you 6 feet?
The program said I was 6 foot.
There we go. We'll give you 6 feet, right? So, but
program
again,
said was.
And what? You were only weighing about what? 250 to 270, right? And that's soaking wet. Yeah, that's soaking wet.
260 to 250. You know, when you're actually playing towards the middle of the season.
So you had to use those techniques. So talk to me, like, not just weight stuff. What is some of the things that you think young offensive linemen that are just getting in the game, and not even just young offensive linemen, because I feel like a lot of the footwork and techniques, the push-pull stuff could be translated over just to getting off the line as a receiver, being able to jam someone as a corner or a line, or even being a defensive player, understanding what the offensive lineman is doing. What are some of those techniques that you feel that young athletes should really put an emphasis on and really make sure that they're preparing on before they get to college?
Right. Well, my big thing and biggest thing and thing was drilled into me in high school and in college, you know, Bendo and then Lewis and Hallett, all of us said footwork. If your footwork ain't there, you're going to get beat. It's just a matter of, I mean, you watch film, you watch offensive linemen get beat. If they drop that post foot, 95% of the time they got beat inside. And it drives me nuts because if you post, you're good. For the most part, like, just that'll put you in a better position to succeed. And that's what I want to do, like a lot of footwork, agility type stuff. But at the same time, I want to also do little combo stuff, you know, with 2-man combo blocks and stuff, just so you know where your footwork is on. So you get like a flat, or you got a gap scheme where you got to come down and pull around. That's another thing. Pulls. There's so many different types of pulls, because if you start off and you're a little youngster playing pee wee football, you learn to just, you know, turn and run down the line and whack somebody.
Find someone. Yes, that's all I learned until I got to college.
right. And you miss. Sometimes you'll miss. Sometimes you hit the wrong side, and he'll come inside and make a play, something like that. Which you don't understand that when you're younger, right? But once you get older, knowing those skills and know when to log around or when to do like a drop step or a drop step crossover. Like learning that footwork just to be able to get your shoulders in the right spot so you can see what you're seeing gets you in a better position. You know what I'm saying? And then same thing with like pass pro. A lot of people have a lot of problem with pass pro and doing kicks and the kick post. I actually have been watching a lot of Willie Anderson stuff on Instagram because I've obviously
Houday, baby.
That's right. Vin right there. He's got great footwork and great handwork. And a lot of times when you're playing a game, if your footwork is not there, if you turn a shoulder, you turn another shoulder, you get in spots, panic, and then you panic and you get beat or something along those lines. And you don't
holding calls, all that stuff. That's where the bad stuff starts happening.
Right. And along with your footwork, just doing like simple slides and keeping a wide base and stuff like that, and then keeping a post and being able to kick and slide and kick and slide, and we'll work on that, and then also work with hand placement. I know a lot of people, and a lot of times, and we were even taught that was the punch. So worried about the punch and throwing it back, but you can still do that. But I think a lot that helped me when I was playing the game, and I'll steal this from Willie Anderson, is have independent hands. So you can have a punch. Sometimes you're going to come, defenders are going to fly at you and try to bull rush you. Sometimes that's not going to work with a punch. They might get you inside first and you get beat. Having the independent hands lets you, you know, if they're going to work with a swim, rip, or whatever, you can knock one down, put a hand on, work with it, and then get your grip, and then be able to move along with it. That's another thing I think a lot of people lose is once they get locked up, they think they can stand there. And if you got a good defensive lineman that can move around, especially the defensive end or the linebacker, or once you get into the older ages, you got safeties and stuff blitzing, you got to use your feet, right? So I want to use, a lot of it's going to be footwork. A lot of it's going to be able to move your feet, keeping the right base. That's what a lot of it is. It's going to be combo stuff and, you know, footwork, quickness. I think it's super important for an offense line to be quick, not necessarily fast. You hear fast and you see Penny Swell, he runs like a 4.54 or something like that is great. I don't think that's necessarily necessary in the position right now, but I definitely think quickness and agility needs to be there, and that's going to help you, up front. And you got the way defenses are designed anymore is you got people that know how to move. It's not like when we were first starting and how things were in the 90s and the early 2000s. You had some big dudes just trying to bull rush and stuff. Now it's a different type of game. Where
guys like Micah Parsons and those guys that can come off the edge and they're super quick. And I know even D3 football, a lot of the defensive ends and inside players that you're going against are super fast, quick guys. And I like that how you were saying that, not necessarily your 40 time, but almost like more like your 3 shuttle time, because that's like quickness, right? Like that's more like where offensive lines get into that whole like kind of 2 to 5 yard range about how to be really quick inside those areas. That's really important stuff. And I like too what you were kind of talking about with your hands. I know one thing, and again, so just a little pretext for you all. Nate was a junior. I think I played with you for 2 seasons. I think you were a junior my freshman year, and then you coached. You were coached too afterwards. But I remember my freshman year, I got to be in the same drill lines as Nate, and I remember I would just watch everything he did and try to just mimic his footwork and his punches. And one thing that I did learn from you, it's almost kind of like boxing, right? Like you were saying with hands, it's like, the punch is good, but it's almost being able to time your punches better. So it's almost like a boxer with a counter punch. So it's like if you could get to the point where you don't just be the first one necessary to throw your hands, but you almost look to where their hands are going and be able to just kind of parry or slap down and then replace or try to see what move they're doing with their shoulders and their chest and their legs, and being able to download all that information and then time your punch up to where it works. That's a skill, right? I didn't learn that skill. And I think it's a good point. Pass protection is so important. A lot of these high school kids, a lot of these high school coaches are, and not all high school coaches, but most high school coaches aren't teaching pass protection. They're teaching run blocking because a lot of their schemes are run first. Right. So these kids, when they get to college, I mean, just getting in a 2-point stance sometimes is right. They've never done it before.
That's one of the offenses that the colleges run anymore is you run from a gun and run.
Very wide,
four wide.
Very few offenses
you can still run out of it.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Exactly. How to run block out of a 2-point stance is even.
It is very strange. If you're not used to it, it's odd. And I think that's important with the footwear. That's what got me there, because I did it a little bit in high school when I was okay. I didn't get good at it until I was in college, and when Bendo and Halleck got in my butt and, flat 90, thing.
Right.
Never left my brain ever.
Right. What are you talking about? I was just always told just down block. I didn't understand, right? I didn't understand that there's actual like levels to this thing. So that's awesome. So talk about that. What was kind of like when you were playing, and what was kind of like your off-season training like building up to that to get ready for college? Because again, once you got to college, you started to realize, I'm sure just like myself, you started to realize, I was doing a lot of work before, but I wasn't doing the right work, right? Because that's the thing. It's one thing if, you're doing a lot of work, but if you're not doing the right type of work, you're not getting any better. So once you got to college, going into the next 3 seasons, what were the things and drills and stuff that you really focused on to kind of get yourself in again, outside the weight room? Everyone's going to lifting and stuff. That's going to happen. I was actually talking with like one of my buddies. He owns a gym in Tampa, and he was saying kind of the opposite thing of like, we're here to teach these kids how to be in the weight room and how to do speed and agility. But like, if I'm here to perfect your basketball, if you're here to get your basketball shot better, we're not the people. There's other people like that. People like same thing. If you're here to become a better offensive lineman or better football, just like skilled positions, that's not what I'm here for. So there's people that take care of the weightlifting. So for you, what were some of the things that you did outside of that helped you kind of prepare yourself for college?
I got really lucky. Honestly, I got really lucky in high school. I got some good coaches in high school. And then in college, I got lucky too. I just had some great coaches. And then my freshman and sophomore year, Rick Honecker was one of that GAs. And he lived in Kentucky next to me. So I got pleasure of working with him in the off season. And the stuff we were able to do with band work, I love me some band work. We'll be doing band work.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
Flexibility and band work's great. I think that's another thing that helps with your agility and quickness is flexibility. It's so important and so underrated to so many people. There's so many offensive linemen that I've worked with and stretched with while playing, and I'm like, bro, your hamstrings are tighter than a board, man.
Yeah.
No wonder you can't move.
Right. Yep.
Get loose, get a little so we'll do some band work. Not a lot. I'm not going to do anything crazy, but just the simple, And I think band work's good for isolation of muscles. Because you get in the weight room, things are just different, like stuff. So I think isolating muscles in certain ways. I did a lot. I used to do P90X when I was because that's just another type of agility thing. It works on isolating different types of muscles that I wasn't ready for, like different shoulder muscles, core muscles. I think having a strong core is super important. That's going to help you with your kick posts and getting down and blocking and be able to use your hips. Like your hips are super important. But I think this is kind of cliche, and I think it's coming out more, but kids need to play more sports. I think that's one of the things that helped me a lot. Like in my off season, I didn't just focus on working out and getting big and running and stuff like that. I was more of let me go play, hit some balls on the baseball field and throw some stuff. Like the things that translate from sport to sport, I think are super important because those athletic skills, those all around athletic skills you get from different sports, translate. Like look at one of the best offensive linemen footwork and stuff that we had that used his feet real well was Paul Dunn. Dunn, absolutely a great basketball player, and he was great with his feet. He could pull great. He turned his shoulders well. He used them well in pass pro. Like to be able to get down and make a block after the initial initial block. Like being able to use your feet and being able to use different sports, using those other attributes that you have, I think are super important, why I wanted to just do agility, a lot of agility type of stuff as well, because I think it's important to be able to have a strong core and use your feet and have,
Yeah.
I think
that's definitely, and I'm glad you said that about the other sports. I know for me, because in Florida, there's a weight limit. So I wasn't able to play football until high school because I had to stop flag football in third grade because my weight limit would have made me playing with eighth graders. That's just where it was. So I played every other sport: soccer, basketball, volleyball, baseball, golf, all those other sports. And what I did find though was that when it came going to football season into my freshman year in high school, I had a lot of the footwork and skills to replace the gap of not playing. But then when I would go to basketball season, the techniques that I learned from football helped me with the basketball game because I was able to understand like body pressure and like if someone's guarding you, being able to just kind of give a push pull and get around, like it all kind of translates well. And again, whatever the sport is, I know a lot of for me, my coaches always were like, you need to be a wrestler, and I was like, no, I like basketball way more, so I'll stick to that. But like wrestling too, that's another great sport for athletes, especially in terms of you were mentioning flexibility. And I remember, and I'm glad you said the bands. I remember going to the Ohio State football camp when I was going to my senior year of high school, and that's actually where I met Coach Hallett for the first time. We did a seminar with the guy who invented the bands, and they brought him to Ohio State. And Hallett, I remembered, because he was my line coach and the drill coach, he was just like, listen to everything this man's got to say. He was going to get you right. And then it was like when we went to the Heidelberg, you just see the bands, and it was like great. But I remember I was like, I already have that kind of, but that's the band work is so perfect. I know I still use the bands today into my training. It's funny though. And another thing that I like is functional training, right? It's getting out of, and again, you still got to do your isolated training. You still got to do your weight. We're not trying to, I know what the message here is that stuff's got to happen.
Training is still important, but your school can do that, and you can find a strength trainer that can do it better than I can do it. I can if you want to come to me and ask me for, recommendations or something, or how to do something, I can do that, but I'm not going to be there and follow you in the weight room just because that's not my expertise.
Right.
that has that
And
expertise.
you'll get workout, yeah, and you'll get workout plans. I know one thing though that actually really helped me with my strength and changing my strength was going into my junior year. I picked up strongman. Now, strongman, a lot of people think it's just you're just deadlifting and lifting heavy weights, but really there's medleys and there's overhead pressing and there's clean and jerks and there's putting weight on your back and moving quickly for 50 feet. And it's like all those things I found translated, like you were saying, like when I put 800 pounds on my back and I have to move 50 feet, my footwork is my 6-inch flat 90. That's the same. I'm staying in the train track.
Yeah,
I'm using those. Yeah, I'm using those same techniques from football. And then all of a sudden now I'm strengthening that foundation, tire flips, those type of things, really the functional movements, moving with weight, not just laying and pressing weight. Again, although that's important, you need to do both. You need to increase your functional training. I know even now as we're getting older, flexibility is key, man. That's the one thing that I really do feel like if you don't drill now, when you get old, that's where the injuries, you get more prone to injuries. And I, like you said, hips, it's funny how much just your hip flexibility and you're being able to twist and pull, because again, like you were saying, when you see someone get beat, you look at their feet first thing, right? And it's funny. And I know when we'll go Bengals here, when their offensive line was struggling and you would just see them drop that post foot and you're like, open up the floodgate, baby. Yeah. Like you're like, and again, that's at the highest level, right? So if you do that at the highest level, like you might be able to get away a few times if you're strong, but at the highest level, you make one mistake like that, and then you're in panic.
In the Super Bowl against Aaron Donald, that's what that was. He got beat. He dropped his post foot. I mean, Aaron, don't get me wrong, Aaron Donald's a monster. He's a great player, but he could have gave him that 1 second if he didn't drop the post foot, and that could have been a touchdown game over. We won Super Bowl.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And it's like you said, it's just those little things like that, the flexibility. So you said, you're selling, and I love this story. So I want to kind of transition here to this because I myself, right, like this isn't Recliner Sports Report. Well, it's now my full-time job, but for the last year I was running summer camps for YMCA. I decided, I love that stuff. I love working with kids, but I was thinking to myself, what's something else I could do? And so, I started Recliner Sports Report, me and my buddy of mine. We were in nonprofits, so we really love helping out charities, communities, so running events, using sports. Yeah, right. Using sports as a platform to get viewers, but then using the philanthropy side to ask viewers to kind of help and give out for charities and really help change the world, right? Keep the change. But I love that it takes, okay, I get it. This is my job. This is what I'm doing. But I do believe that there's something in finding a passion. So when did this start for you? Like, how long has this been kind of in the works, and where, and I know you kind of talked about where you see it moving forward, but like, how can people get a hold of you to kind of connect with you? I want to give you a chance to just kind of plug yourself and let people know how to get in contact with you. So when did this kind of dream start for you, and how can people get a hold of you to work with you?
Okay. So about a year ago, I was, it was towards the end of the COVID thing and just wasn't in love with what I was doing. And I was like, you know what I really enjoy? Because I started, sorry, I'm gonna get kind of personal at the moment, but
I love it. I love it.
I got diagnosed with Crohn's when I was 28, so like 4 years ago. It kind of changed everything in my life and how I do things, and just because of how my body operates now. It's a inflammatory bowel disease, so it just kind of changes my entire everything. So I've been just the last 4 years has kind of been a whirlwind of like, what am I want to do and stuff, because I'm not happy with what I'm doing and I'm annoyed or whatever. And so, and there's a lot of pain that happens with Crohn's. So I ended up going with the therapist and stuff. So I just like wanted to do something I really enjoy. And I started reading books and talking to a therapist and stuff. And what I really enjoy, even in my job now, there's a lot of hard times when you talk with customers. I'm in customer service. And if I work in the car business, if someone's car breaks down, a lot of people get in a panic when things happen. Absolutely going to happen. I mean, that's your vehicle, literally your vehicle to get to one place or another. So being able to talk to them in a certain way, in a certain manner that makes them feel comfortable enough about what you're talking about and be able to walk away at least, not in a bad mood, and understanding food. I like being able and liking that feeling afterwards, being able to help someone. And I really have always enjoyed working with kids. I always have. I went to Heidelberg, got a phys ed degree. I did phys ed because I was an athlete. I want to do phys ed, right? But I've always worked with kids. When I was in high school, I coached after the season and off season. I coached high school teams, grade school teams. In college, I student coach. I've always been connected to working with kids because I like being able to see the growth in kids, and just the way the world is right now, and the uncertainty of the way things are and the ugliness of the world at the moment. I want to spread positivity. And that's part of really what I want to do. And I love football and I love the sport. So, and I want to give back to the community. Like I'm going to be a business guy. I'm going to charge, but I'm not going to charge an arm and a leg. Like where I live, there's people that have financial issues. I mean, everybody does at some point in time. I'm not going to break the bank for you to come hang out with me for an hour, and I'm going to give you some good work and something to walk back on. Like that's my biggest thing is you be able to walk in, have a great day, learn something, and walk away with a smile on your face, and then at least be able to maybe come back and do it again another time. That's what I want to see. Like I want you to be happy and comfortable. Like there's so many times I went to camps where I was like, I'm not a big fan of this guy or the people I'm with, like just getting the wrong vibe. Like I want a good, positive, happy vibe. And that's how I try to be during practice. If you ever try to remember, like I know sometimes you get in your head and you had some bad practice, but I always try to be positive and spread the positivity. And now it's just, I want to spread it to as many people as I possibly can. And then I do want to, at some point down the road, I would love to do like nonprofit things. Crohn's has a thing, so I love to work with Crohn's and stuff like that. That's one of my biggest dreams, is to support Crohn's in a way. There's a walk there, which once I get into I'll get more of a page set up and stuff. I'll have everything on there and I'll post more. But let's get into that, how to reach out to me. Right now, we're going to start until I get more information of how I'm going to do stuff. Right now, in my social media is the best way. I posted it with all my tags. I can post another one here today. But yeah, my Instagram tag, my Facebook tag, Nate Cater, or Instagram's thing is just Nkater, Nkater. And I do have a Twitter. I'm not really on it very much. Haven't been, but I'm gonna step out the game. Heck, I don't remember what it was. I'm just here. So yeah, that's what I mean.
Twitter is getting. I know that was for us. That's where we started, and it definitely took. It was a slow burn to start that. That was actually our first thing. We were actually a ghost account called Lazy Boy Sports. But ever since Elon took over Twitter, it's actually, we went from like 200 followers to 1,500 followers within a month. So I think that he's doing some great work. So I definitely would recommend that. I would also say, especially with like your email and stuff, they reach out to you by email too?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, cool. What's your email?
It's Nkater, so Nkater 67 @gmail.com. That's my email. Anytime.
Awesome. And send him an email if you're in the Elyria, right? Elyria?
Yeah, Elyria, Lorain, Northeast Ohio area, Homestead,
awesome.
Anywhere around here.
And that's a big service pool area too. So that and there's lots. I will admit, Ohio. I know I'm from Florida, so we always talk about speed, but I will always say the people from Ohio were just also quick, but they were just tough, hardworking, blue collar people. And that there's some great football there. And to have someone like yourself being able to provide this for them, that's such an awesome thing. I would also recommend, some things that I would use for our summer camps is Google Forms. I don't know if you're interested, if you've done Google Forms before, but it's pretty much just like a survey. What you can do is put custom questions in there, like what's your name, what's your contact information, what's your email, and then you can even put like a paragraph question of just tell me a little bit about yourself, and then they fill that out, and then it gets put into a spreadsheet for you, and then you can just follow up with the customers like that. So that might be able to help like organize some of your like registration, because again, a lot of that stuff is like I didn't learn any of that stuff until I got into the business side of running camp. Like I used to just
Yeah.
go and show up and run and coach camps, but when you're running a camp, you start realizing like, oh, how do I get people to register? How do I got to have a registration types, thing. So being able to have those type of processes, a little bit of a pain in the butt to kind of get up and running. But as I always tell people when you're starting businesses is the work that you do now, that's really hard. And it's just like football, the work you do now that's hard makes everything when it comes to the game time really, really, really enjoyable and having fun. So,
Yeah.
but I know something like that will definitely help just being able to track your clients and get your information,
Right.
hey, if you're interested, fill out this Google form because maybe they might not be, brave enough to just send the email, but if they fill
Yeah.
out the form, then that's where, as sales and customer, you're the lead, that's your lead generator. So then you follow that up. Or if
Right.
I'm sharing that out, they can fill out that form. That's great stuff, man. I'm so excited. Again, I love the philanthropy side of that too. You're helping out the community. My other advice to you is definitely value your product. And I, like you said, not an arm and a leg, but your product's worth something. And there's people that are doing it, like you said, for way, way more money,
Yeah,
breaking the banks. And I can tell that's not the route you want to go to, but don't undervalue yourself. And everyone that's listening to this, Nate, like I read you off his awards, and I know my success in college and a lot, not just mine, but a lot of the other teammates that I've had over those course of my 4 years of playing and 2 years coaching there was a lot driven by Nate. And then, like he said, the people we learned from, Mike Hallett, Jason Lewis, Jason Bendekovic, those guys really, really, helped us. Well, that's awesome, man. So we got a little bit of time left. We got just a little under 8 minutes. We got a big game today, buddy. What are your thoughts on the game today?
What are my thoughts? I think things will be tough. The game's a tough fight. It might be another overtime game. It really might be. I really for the Chiefs. I think it's gonna come down to how healthy is Mahomes going to be, and how long can he survive, and how long they can keep him clean. If they can keep him clean, I think his mobility is one of his greatest assets. Not to mention he's the best athletically given quarterback in the league. I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the league right now with what he can do in the pocket and stuff along those lines and be able to change a play and see things. But Mahomes is an athletic freak. So if we can keep him contained and not let him extend plays like he usually does with that ankle, I don't know. I mean, he's practiced since Wednesday, full go. I think we can keep him, and then Trey Flowers is back this week.
That's really big. That's really big.
Yeah, Kelsey, which I don't know if he played last game against them. I can't remember, but
I can't remember either.
Yeah, he still locked him up pretty good. He only had 4 catches for 56, and then Jermaine Pratt with that
big turnover. That big turnover right there. That was that was epic. Yeah, I agree with you. I think again, defensively, a lot of people talk about the Bengals offense this year, and there's a lot to talk about there, right? They have so many weapons, but really the rated part of the Bengals team this year has been their defense. The ability to make plays in critical situations, again, like that turnover. Even, I was watching the game last week and I'm like, man, the only thing we haven't done today is had a turnover yet. And then right at the end of the game, we got, what I'm saying? It's just, the defense has a knack, and hats off to Lou Anarumo. He is running great schemes, and he's constantly changing pressures, constantly giving different looks, constantly changing up the secondary, constantly changing up blitzes with exotic. He does the little things right, and you can tell that that's how the defense plays with the little things. I think offensively, it comes down to, once again, the offensive line, and I know it came down on them last week, and they stepped up to the call. They're down 3 starters, and that's in the NFL. That's a big deal, especially I think the Chiefs' defensive line is a lot better than the Bills' defensive line. I would compare them to about kind of the Ravens. I think the Ravens had one of the better defenses, and people forget about that because of all the stuff with Lamar. But the Ravens' defense was no joke. So they're really good. So that's a pretty good comparison, I think, to what our offensive line.
Get into the playoff.
Yeah, exactly. So. And then I think really, yeah. And I think the other thing is, again, I'm such a big, people think you have to run the ball to pass, and people are like, you have to pass. I think for us, you really have to be able to do it consistently both, and really continue to run the ball when the box is there, and then when it's not there, make like Joe. And I think that's what separates Joe is he understands. Okay, the box isn't right to run this, so we're gonna do a quick route, or we're going to do something, a hitch, or we're going to hit a quick slant. So continuing for Joe to continue to be able to read what the defenses are giving him and play like that, I think that's really what it's going to come down to. And hopefully the offensive line can give him just a little bit of time to hit a couple deep balls to Jamar.
Right. Jamar and T.
Yo, they are fantastic. I know up here, so I listen because I'm in Salem, Mass, Boston area. I'm actually moving back home actually this week, but a lot of the sports radio people are talking about like the Patriots should go after T. Higgins next year. They already the New England fans up here are convinced that they got T next year. No, right? I don't think so. Yeah, I think that they're gonna. I think that he's. I think all of them, man. I think they see the culture there.
That we have is very, very special, and they've said it a long time that they're all unselfish. But I think they are all unselfish. Yeah. Joe Mixon said it the other night. He's like, "I'll do whatever to stay here." Yep. Burrow's already said he'll stay there. Chase is like, "Well, Joe Burrow's my man. I'm staying with him."
Exactly.
Like, I don't really see a whole lot of people going anywhere. But I know I really love this team. I think it's really good. I think that on paper they're not the best team on offense. I think offensive line's a little rough, but I really like Jackson Carman at tackle because he played 4 years and he protected Trevor Lawrence.
Yep,
dude's a monster. I mean, you don't play left tackle in the ACC and play some of the guys at the edge that he played.
No, exactly. Yeah,
which people don't understand. And a lot of things last year when you saw him, you hopped in the right guard. That first off, it's the wrong side for him. And it's a different position. Like yes, you're in the NFL, and he's just turned 23 last week.
Exactly.
So he was playing 22 last year, playing a completely different game, different position. He's got to learn. It's the same offensive line, but playing guard and playing tackle are different in itself because you played them both.
Yes.
100%. So both of them are very different themselves. And then you got to flip flop sides.
Your feet,
your footwork, your hand work, your strong hand, just. Things are different. So going back to a spot where he played thousands of reps in college, I know how to play that already.
100%. That's such a good point. And I do think that he's kind of found now that he's back at tackle. And I think this game he's playing left tackle. Is he left tackle or right tackle today? I don't.
He's left. I think
left. Yeah. Okay. Because I know. Yeah. Genedy, right?
I always mess his name. 7-7.
Yeah, he's over at the right side.
Man.
Yeah, they're good. I'll tell you what, those guys are good, and I love Ted Karras. I love his tenacity. He plays super hard. Yeah, he's a guy you can rally around. No, it's going to be a fun game. Again, I'm super nervous. I always get nervous, and again, I'm also super appreciative that we're just at the party. I know for years, and again, even for this. There's no Bengals fans in Ohio. Very few. A lot of it's Cleveland or even Pittsburgh. I remember even in Tiffin, everyone was either a Browns fan or a Steelers fan, or you got Donaldson, Bills fan. Very few Bengals fans.
I know. I didn't realize it was that bad, but because obviously I came from Kentucky or the Cincinnati border, so I was like, what?
Yeah, right. I moved up there. I thought, I moved up to Ohio thinking, oh, cool, I'm going to get a lot of Bengals fans, but I realized it was really – because my dad grew up in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, so kind of similar to you, near Kentucky. Yeah, so he grew me up a Bengals fan, and but that's weird how Cincinnati is really only in that kind of Kentucky, Indiana, that lower half of Ohio area, and everyone the other side is rooting for the Browns or even the Steelers, which is disgrace. You can't be from Ohio and rooting for the Steelers. All right, man. Well, hey, we are we're run out of time, but hey, Nate, I just want to say thanks so much for coming on. I think the work that you're doing is great. I think it's really going to make a big positive impact. Please feel free, if anything you need, reach out to help, and I would glad to, especially even if it's hey, we want to do something to raise some money for scholarships for kids to go there. I could help you out with that. Anything you can. Berg Brother for life, buddy. Houday. Thanks for stopping by, and as always, keep the change, brother. Keep the change.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me get on here. I enjoyed it. Maybe we'll have to do it again if we next week.
Yeah.
Just for some superstition next week.
Yeah. Hey, we might have to dial it up. Let me know, brother. All right, man. Have a good one. Bye.
You too, brother. All right.